Namaste, and a warm greeting to every interested participant of this Web IDEC 2020. I'm Ravi Bhusal, and today I'm here to discuss on the topic Life in Ashram. In topic Life in Ashram, Ashram specifically means Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir of Nepal. To explain what Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir is, how it started, and what it does, I have two more presenter, Mr. Birendra Jishi and Mr. Teskant Lama. Three of us are the students of Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir, and we will be conducting today's session turn by turn. As this is an international democratic education conference, let me begin today's session with Sri Aurobindo's quote on education and teaching. According to Sri Aurobindo, the first principle of true teaching is that nothing can be taught. The teacher is not an instructor or a taskmaster. He is a helper and a guide. His business is to suggest, not to impose. We can see so many schools are established in our society and community. They are trying to teach the kids. There are enough number of schools. The number of teachers and students is quite satisfactory. After having all those basic requirements fulfilled, I believe the true purpose of education is not fulfilled yet. In my opinion, true purpose of education is to enable students to grow, develop, and bring out their inner interest and inner potentialities in accordance with their inner nature, and help them to manifest those inner interests and inner potentialities in their day-to-day activities. In manifesting those inner interests and inner potentialities of the students, the role of teacher should be as a helper and a guide. Teacher must just act as a helper to nourish those inner interests and inner potentialities of the students. But in the present scenario, especially in case of Nepal, I think the teachers are failing to fulfill the role of teacher as helper and a guide. They are just attempting to impose outdated ideas and their old experience to the new and fresh mind of a child. Let me give you an example, particularly in our Nepalese society. If a father in a family is a doctor, he wants his children to be doctor. If a father in a family is engineer, he wants his children to be engineer. Parents, teachers, society, community, they do not respect, they do not care the true interest of the child. They just want to motivate and influence their children towards a career which is good in their perception. So having well-equipped school, so-called qualified teachers, and large number of students is not enough to fulfill the true purpose of education. An appropriate democratic environment has to be created. And Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir in Nepal, since last 27 years, is creating such dynamic democratic atmosphere in a spiritual way to nourish the inner interest and inner potentialities of the students. Slides over now. So now I'm going to give a brief introduction about Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir. Founded in 1993, Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir is a non-profit, social and spiritual organization which is based on the ideology of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. Next slide. Till now, this organization has been spread in 3 different places of Nepal, that is Kathmandu, Navalparasi, and Gulmi. This organization is taking care of more than 200 children, providing free food, free education, free cloth, free shelter, and free health expenses. Next slide, please. And Swami Ramchandra Das is the founder and president of this organization. He was born in Purkot, Gulmi district of Nepal. Purkot being a very remote place, there were no any schools. So Swami Ramchandra Das spent his childhood in rearing cows, buffaloes, and domestic animals. Playing with the animals, plants, mud, and stones of Gulmi district, Swami Ramchandra Das spent his childhood in that remote area, and at the age of 12, without informing anyone in the family members, he left for India with a group of boys. A boy of 12 years old, and he did not know anyone in India. He had no place for shelter and no food to eat. He slept in open street for so many days with empty stomach. And when he was in India, he also got a nice and secured governmental job in army. He was earning enough money and his life was going on in luxury. But having such a secured and satisfied job, Swami Ramchandra Das was not satisfied with his life, with his job. He was not happy and he was not enjoying his life. He felt like his inner thirst was not quenched. So he left the job of army and he started visiting many ashrams, gurus, sannyasis in different places of India. Like this, Swami Ramchandra Das stranded in different places of India for 10 years. And when he was in Ayodhya, Swami Ramchandra Das found a book written by Sri Aurobindo. After reading that book, he was very much happy and satisfied. His inner thirst was quenched. He felt like he found all the answers what he was seeking in life. So again, after leaving everything in Ayodhya, he started his new journey towards Sri Aurobindo Ashram in Pondicherry. He continuously lived and worked in Sri Aurobindo Ashram Pondicherry for 12 years. So altogether 10 years plus 12 years, 22 years. After 22 years, he remembered his motherland for the first time. He remembered his motherland, the country Nepal, for the first time. His interest to know about his motherland, his country, his people increased intensely. In order to satisfy that curiosity, he returned back to Nepal after 22 years. His first visit to Nepal brought a tremendous change in his thought. Nepal was not like as he had expected. There was no development, no schools, no hospitals. People had to walk 2 to 3 kilometers to reach the nearest drinking water. Students were not studying in the schools. Teachers were not teaching. Instead of studying, students were in the rallies of political parties. No system, no regulation. The situation was very horrible. Seeing such a pathetic condition of the country, Swami Ramchandra Das realized that the future of Nepal is in danger. That is why he started Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir in Nepal. Next slide, please. The ideal of Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir is all life is yoga. In Mother's and Sri Aurobindo's philosophy, yoga doesn't mean asana, pranayam, and breathing exercise. In our day-to-day life, whatever activities we do, whether it is playing, eating, studying, reading, writing, cleaning toilet, sweeping the floor, whatever activities we do, if we do such activities by offering to the divine, that becomes yoga. And besides that, Sri Aurobindo Ashram is also playing a vital role to overthrow the superstition and bad practices from the society. Next slide. Starting phase. So now I'm going to explain the starting phase of Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir. So what are the difficulties, what are the challenges that Swami Ramchandra Das faced while starting this organization? Swami Ramchandra Das started Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir by purchasing one mud house. The place where he had purchased this mud house was lacking the basic infrastructure of development. There was no road, no electricity, no drinking water facility, no toilet, no bathroom. Swami Ramchandra Das had to walk almost 1 kilometer to reach the nearest motor road. He had to walk another 30 minutes to reach the nearest water tap, and again another 30 minutes to return back. He had to go to jungle for the toilet. So his starting life was quite difficult and challenging. Though Swami Ramchandra Das had one mud house, but he had no more students with him to educate them. Swami Ramchandra Das had thought that the villagers will send their kids to his ashram to educate them. But the situation turned out against his imagination. Villagers did not collaborate in his work. Instead, they started spreading rumor that Ramchandra is a very bad guy. He's a fraud and cheater. He sells the organs of the children. Such rumors were spread by villagers in the society. So none of the families sent their kids to his ashram. Swami Ramchandra Das was not demotivated with such false rumor. He wanted to do something good for the society. So he bought his own sister Kamala Bhusal from the home and he started Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir with one mud house and one child. And slowly the number of students in the ashram started growing. So it was not immediately, but after so many years, the number of students started growing. And little by little, Swami Ramchandra Das purchased other lands which was near his ashram. So let me tell you one thing. When Swami Ramchandra Das started this ashram, he did not purchase all the land at once. He did not construct all the infrastructures of building and other facilities at once because he did not have enough money. He did all the work little by little. And likewise, in the beginning phase, he started a cow shed with one cow. Because, after having a cow, the children who were studying in ashram, they could drink milk, they could have opportunity to eat ghee, curd, and so like that. And if there is some excess milk, he could sell it to the market. So that could be a good revenue for the ashram to run its various activities. Likewise, in the beginning phase, Swami Ramchandra Das started a small cottage industry as well. With the help of children in the ashram, he started rolling a handmade incense, which is free from chemicals. And those incense were sold to the market, and likewise, he collected money little by little. And with such revenue collected, Swami Ramchandra Das purchased other lands and developed the ashram. So now I'm going to show you some pictures. How was the ashram in the starting phase? So you can see in the picture a guy with a hammer in his hand. He is none other than Swami Ramchandra himself. He is working with a child. And in the next picture, you can see some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see 5 members of the ashrams. They are returning back from the forest with grass in their back to feed the cows in the ashram. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so these are some of the pictures, how the ashram was in the beginning. So you can see in the first pictures, some boys and girls of the ashrams are doing some karma yoga. They are digging in the field. Likewise, some children are playing in front of the old mud house. And in one picture, you can see a lot of 3, 4 mud houses. So in the beginning, Swami Ramchandra Das had only one house. And later on, as the number of students started growing, he could not accommodate all the students in a one mud house. So he made other mud houses. So this is how Swami Ramchandra Das started the ashram in Nepal. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so these are some pictures in the beginning phase of the ashram. So you can see Swami Ramchandra Das, and in the background you can see the old, such a pathetic house. It seems like if in winter, in rainy season, the water enters in the room, and it's very difficult to stay inside that house. So by looking at the picture also, we can imagine how hard and challenging would be the life for Ramchandra Das to start this ashram. Next slide. Okay, so these are the pictures that demonstrates and explains how was the ashram in the beginning phase. And after 27 years of heavy struggle, Swami Ramchandra Das had developed ashram in this level. So next photo will elaborate that. Okay, so now in Kathmandu. Now in Kathmandu, our ashram looks like this. So you can see around beautiful temple and big buildings. As I already told you, Swami Ramchandra Das started this organization with one child, and today it had become a home for 200 people that you can see in the below picture. So you can have a look at the pictures. Next slide. Okay, so now I'm going to play a video that will explain everything. After 27 years of heavy struggle, now how the Kathmandu ashram in Nepal looks like. Okay, please play the video. This is Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir in Kathmandu. You can see a white building. That is our meditation hall. The children are working in the field. They are playing on the rooftop. That's our playground. That's our reception hall. You can see the kids studying. Yoga demonstration by Karisma. Swami Ramchandra Das, he himself is doing a karma yoga. He is a real karma yogi. You can see the students playing. Notice board of the school. Recently constructed Ayurvedic hospital. Old house with which Ramchandra Das started the ashram. So after 27 years of heavy struggle of Swami Ramchandra Das and all the ashram members who live in ashram, the Kathmandu ashram has become like this, which you have already seen. So you can see in the picture, they are the children of the ashram and they are engaged in different activities. The small kids are playing with the dogs, some are playing with the cows, and you can see the smiling faces of the small children. And one of the boys is doing some mechanical work. He is preparing bunk bed for the ashram. So most ashrams solely rely on the funds donated by donors. So some fail to exist in due course of time. Swami Ramchandra Das from the very start found methods which would gain revenue for supporting the activities. As the number of children started growing, more and more activities were added. Self-sustainability and integral living are the cornerstones of the ashram life. But Swami Ramchandra Das says, the growth of ashram is not in the number of buildings we have or area we occupy, but the growth in spiritual consciousness among children. Next slide. Okay, so now I'm going to explain about the daily activities that we do in Kathmandu ashram. The first one is meditation and chanting. So in our ashram, 4 times a week we do meditation, 2 times a week we do chanting, and once a week we watch movie. So meditation session is conducted by Swami Ramchandra Das himself, and our meditation session is conducted generally in the night time after having dinner at 7 p.m. So as you can see in the picture, all the ashram members are sitting around the Swami Ramchandra Das, and under his guidance and instructions, we all try to meditate and unite our consciousness with the divine. Okay, so this is our recently constructed new meditation hall. In our special occasions such as Sri Aurobindo's birthday, mother's birthday, ashram's birth anniversary, Sri Aurobindo's Siddhi's days, on such special occasion, we do collective meditation in this meditation hall. And the first upper 2 pictures, picture number 1 and picture number 2, explains how this temple was constructed. And picture number 3 and 4, this picture was taken after the completion of construction work of meditation hall. Okay, new school building. Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir also has its own school, and its name is Sri Matri Aurobindo Vidyalaya. In this school, only those students are allowed to study who live in Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir. And those students who study in this school, they do not have to pay any fee. It is full free of cost. And in this school, approximately 135 students study from different districts of Nepal. Subjects and courses are run according to the syllabus prescribed by the government of Nepal. Besides that, this school also runs various courses such as classical dance, classical music, art and painting, organic farming, drama, and many more. Next slide, please. So as you can see in the picture, in the first picture, our Santoshi ma'am is teaching and giving a yoga class to the students of the schools. And in the second pictures, they are the students of Srimati Aurobindo Vidyalaya and they are demonstrating yoga. And in the third picture, the students of the same schools are performing drama. And in the fourth picture, a student is learning and taking art class with the teacher. So you can see the new school building in the first picture, and in the second picture, the students are doing meditation, and in the third picture, the students are attending classical music. In our ashram, to classical music and classical dance, we give a lot of focus and emphasis, and the students are learning classical ragas and many more. And in the last picture, you can see the students playing ping pong. So in ashram, we play ping pong, badminton, sometimes basketball and volleyball as well. Next slide. So there are some more pictures of the student being engaged in different activities. In the first picture, a boy holding a mic, he's singing a song in our annual program. In the second picture, the two students are demonstrating yoga, and some of the boys are having a sound healing therapy. And Mr. Raman, the student of Srimati Aurobindo Vidyalaya, he's playing tabla. So these are the different activities and courses run by Srimati Aurobindo Vidyalaya. Next slide. So blessing for her birthday. So Swami Ramchandra Das is putting tika on forehead of a girl. So today is her birthday and she is being blessed with Swamiji. Cow dairy and organic farm. This organization also has its own cow shed. As I have already told you, he started with one cow. Today there are 50 cows in our cow shed, and approximately 350 liters of milk is produced in a one day. That produced milk is used for both consumption and sale purpose. And out of that milk, sometimes we prepare curd, ghee, cheese, paneer, and many more dairy products. So cowshed department has been a good source of revenue for the ashram to run its activities. Similarly, you can see in the next picture, there is one machine, and that machine is used to prepare food for the cows. It cuts the grass into small pieces. And next one is organic farm. This organization is doing organic farm since last 27 years. We do not use chemical fertilizer, pesticide, and insecticides. Compost manure is used to produce seasonable vegetable and fruits such as cauliflower, cabbage, broccoli, spinach, radish, carrot, and many more. So as you can see in the picture, the Dalla Mummy is irrigating the farmland, and Pavita Miss and Santoshi ma'am, they are displaying our organic products. And you can see some girl is carrying a doko, Nepali doko with fresh vegetables produced in our farmland. Next slide, please. Okay, so in our ashram, we do the organic farming with the technique of permaculture. So what is permaculture and how we do permaculture in ashram? This video will explain. This is the farmland of Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir. You can see some flowers, cauliflower, tomato, organic tomato. Some students working in the field. So these are some other pictures of organic farming. So you can see the students working in the field, and you can see what seasonable vegetables we have in the farmland. So these are the some pictures from the organic farm and cow shed. So I have already told you we have 50 cows in our cow shed. So you can see one of the picture. Okay, next slide. Okay, guest house. Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir also has its own guest house. Domestic and international tourists who come to visit Nepal and ashram stay in our guest house. And we charge very nominal price for the food, room, yoga and meditation session. As you can see in the picture, there are two beds. So that is our room in guest house. And in the another picture, you can see some tourists going for a short walk towards a mountain. And in the below picture, there are some tourists who have just come to the ashram to visit Nepal and to explore natural beauty and Himalayas. We also have Aro Nepal travel and trek. So those of you who want to explore the natural beauty and Himalayas of Nepal, you can do the booking through our Aro Nepal travel and trek. So service provided by Aro Nepal travel and trek includes Annapurna Circuit Trek, Everest Base Camp Trek, Everest Panorama View, Kanchenjunga Trek, Mardi Trek, and many more. Herbal incense and Pashmina. Ashram also manufactures and produces hand-rolled 100% herbal incense. Students of the ashram in free time make such incense. And these incense are also available for sale. We have varieties of herbal incense such as rose, sandalwood, earth devotion, etc. And Pashmina. Ashram also manufactures Pashmina and export it abroad. The Pashmina are available in three sizes: small, medium, and large, and its price differs according to its size. So so you can, oh, it's okay. Okay, so you can see in the picture, the students of the ashram are rolling handmade Pashmina. No, handmade incense. Sorry. And in the two pictures, you can see some pashmina manufactured in our organization. So in the first picture, you can see the machine. So with that machine, we can weave the pashmina and other woolen towel and cloths. And in the second picture, with one boy and one girl, they are coloring the pashmina. Once the pashmina is webbed, we have to color it, and they are doing that work. And in the third picture, you can see a small table, and there are some small bamboo stick, a paste, and using that material, the student of the ashram make handmade incense. Okay, next slide. Okay, cultural program. Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir has a lot of auspicious days like Sri Aurobindo's birthday, the mother's birthday, ashram's birth anniversary. In such auspicious occasion, the children of the ashram perform various cultural programs such as classical dance, classical music. They recite some lines from the Savitri. They perform drama, and they do a lot of extracurricular activities. So you can see in the picture, the student of the ashram are performing drama, whereas the next picture, they are doing classical dance and Nepali folk dance. Next. You can see some more pictures on cultural program. The students are performing typical Nepali dance, classical dance, she is Bhagirathi, and Sri Krishna, he's also the student of the ashram, and he's reciting a poem. So these are some of the pictures exploring and explaining the cultural programs of the ashram. Next. Okay, so these are some of the more pictures from cultural program part. So I would like to read a sentence from this slide. Art is an indispensable part of the ashram. Art and creativity is worshipped at this place. The children get ample opportunities to learn classical dance, music, and painting. And mainly, they have a great chance to grow themselves in a spiritual atmosphere. Next. Karma Yoga. In Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir, Karma Yoga is indispensable. Every members, whether it is children, adult, teacher, or old aged people, they have to do 2 hours of Karma Yoga compulsory. 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening. So you can see Swami Ramchandra Das, he himself is very busy in Karma Yoga. So you can see founder and president with a hammer in his hand. He is hammering a big stone in the middle of night. Maybe the time was about 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. Next slide. So these are some more pictures from Karma Yoga. You can see some students, they are cutting grasses. So if you go to the other society, like in single family beyond ashram, if you go there and ask children to cut grass, they cannot cut. But in the ashram, to every children and to every kids, the basic skills such as cutting grass, cooking food, singing a song, classical dance, classical music, such basic qualities are already imposed in their mind. We teach them such qualities and skills. So you can see some more pictures from the Karma Yoga. Next slide. Okay, so our other activities includes a painting department. So we have a painting department, and that department is run by Mr. Lakshman Bhusal, a grinding and dehusking mill, a tailoring center with embroidery, soft doll making, costume designing and sales, mechanical workshop, production of essential oil. We have a small machine to manufacture essential oil, kitchen department, exhibition and showroom, Ayurvedic hospital for natural healing, Ayurvedic clinic, and massage center. So now I'm going to show you some pictures about these activities. As you can see in the picture, there is Thanka painting that is done by the student of the ashram. It looks so beautiful. The next one is mechanical workshop. Mr. Teskant Lama is preparing a bunk bed for the student of the ashram. We have grinding and dehusking mill, massage therapy. So you can see in the picture, one girl is ground to the earth. So that's a natural way of healing disease. And in the next picture, you can see some students learning massage therapy. Next. Serving lunch. In this organization, lunch is served in the morning at 9 a.m. and dinner is served at 6 p.m. in the evening. So you can see the students enjoying snack, hike to Chandagiri Hills, acrylic painting, exhibition in showroom like Pasmina, handmade towel. So whatever the product that is produced in our ashram, we display all those products in the showroom. And from here, we also sold to the customers who come to visit ashram. So tailoring center with embroidery, we have our own tailoring department, and the student of the ashram who need a dress and other clothes, we stitch it by ourselves. Ayurvedic hospital, essential oil. Okay, to explain more about our another branch, Sri Aurobindo Nagari, I would like to call Mr. Teskant Lama. Thank you.
Namaste everyone. I am Tejkant Lama. Today I am here to explain about Sri Aurobindo Nagari. And as we know, this is the second branch of this ashram, which is in Kathmandu now. So this ashram is 200 kilometers away from here. It's in the plain area of Tarai, as we say in Nepali. It's, in near to the India. So there are about 50 children and about 30 adults living there together. We also have there a school and a cow farm, metal and wood workshop, and with about 150 rupees of land, we do extensive tree plantation and agriculture. When I was there, I also stayed there for 2 years. I learned many things like how to take care of plants, how to work in agriculture, how to deal with animals. And to talk about weather, that is quite hot during summer, but in winter or rainy or summer, not spring, it's very moderate. And I love the other things of that ashram also, because it has more plants and it's very far from city areas, very quiet. Okay, next slide. As this ashram is based on Mother and Sri Aurobindo's action, we do there also meditation, chanting, all these things for inner growth, and physical education also we participate for the physical perfection, because without good health of physical, we cannot do any work. Even we cannot do mental work if our physical body is weak. So to make or to attain physical perfection, we also participate in games, sports, etc. As you can see in the image, first image, temple, that is the main temple, and where there is a Sri Aurobindo shrine enshrined in the upper part, and in the below, as you see, meditation hall, it's inside that temple, where at once about 500 people can meditate. And ashram sometime gives some classes or camps, free camps like health checkup or spiritual discourses for the society also. Okay, next slide. Yes, the first one is Sri Aurobindo's relics, and the second one is having lunch in a in a ground, in an open area with all the students, and the third one is annual program which we do in every year. And the third one is planting rice in our fields. We do it by ourselves. We don't hire any, paid laborers or other people from outside. We just do by ourselves because we have to learn by ourselves also. And you see small one, that is with man with a green cap is himself Swami Ramchandra. So he's working with cow manure for the land. Okay, next slide. Two tractors we have in that ashram for the convenience of agriculture, because if there are 14 acres of land and we cannot dig it with our hands. So along with that, we also have cow shed, which is bigger than we have in Kathmandu ashram. It has almost about more than 100 cows. We have about 500 liters of milk in a single day. From that milk, we produce or we make many types of dairy products such as cheese, paneer, ghee, curds, and some chocolates also, etc. We consume there also, and we send to other branches of our ashram for the consumption purpose. If sometime it goes excess, then we sold them also. With 14 acres of farmland, we do organic agriculture like paddy, wheat, corn, fruit, and vegetables, and fruits like mango, guava, lychee, banana, jackfruit, so on. Many types of fruits we plant there, and when they are, according to the season, when they are ready, we send it to other branches also for the consumption purpose. And as you can see in the image, there is a tractor working in the field. And in the second picture, there is a cows in a ground playing. And in the third, it's our rice field where we, do our work there also. Next. As I told you already, that this place is very far from city area, so it's very peace and calm. If we go through name of this place, Sri Aurobindo Nagari. Nagari means a Nepali word, which means a small place where peace and harmony resides. That's the meaning of Nagari. So that place is very peaceful. I also love myself very much. I go time to time there, and whenever some guest come to visit this ashram or to trek for the Nepal, and they also want to visit that place, and they also go there and they say, yes, that place is very nice. Their comments and suggestions are also always very nice. They say that place is very quiet because it's far from city, and when you go and live there, you can experience how village life in Nepal goes in Tarai areas. This ashram is, we can say, a food store of every ashram, because from there we produce many rice, wheat, paddy, all of these, and we send to every ashram for the consumption purpose. And now we have a new project under our list, that is to make a new school in that Sri Aurobindo Nagari ashram, because we have a school there, but the school is on the same house which people live there, and in the top floor of top flat, there they use for study, and sometimes they go to under a tree, like in a that we used to do in ancient times, like that way. So we would love to make new schools separately, so that students can have more convenient for learning things. And next slide, please. So we have one video, a short video, which can explain about that ashram. So with this video, I would like to pass it to Birendra Dai, who will be going to give about Sri Aurobindo Tapabhumi, the next branch of our ashram. Please welcome him.
Namaste to everyone. I'm Birendra Joshi. I'm here from 2009 to till now. And today I'm going to describe about the next branch of the ashram, that is Sri Aurobindo Tapabhumi. Let's discuss about the Sri Aurobindo Tapabhumi. Why we put the name of Sri Aurobindo Tapabhumi instead of Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir? It is so because Sri Aurobindo Tapabhumi is a place of life devoted to intense inner discipline for a healthy body, emotionally balanced, and alert mind and enlightened spirit. You know that Sri Aurobindo Tapabhumi is situated at an altitude of around 2,000 kilometers from 2,000 kilometers from above from sea levels, and it is about 400 kilometers far from the capital city, and it also lies in the region where Lord Gautam Buddha was born. You know, ashram is seated on the top of Kalipatal hill, which is surrounded by Madane National Parks, and it is also the source of 4 major rivers of Nepal. And Sri Aurobindo Tapabhumi is also located nearby the Dorpatan Wildlife Reserve. So, during the construction time, we face a lot of problems. We got hills, and we have to make it level. So, for leveling that land, it took too many months, even more than a year, with heavy equipments such as tractors, trippers, excavators, dozers, with too many skills and unskilled manpowers. The first stone was laid on 24th October 2013 BS. On this day, every year, we invite people from different parts of the country to show our culture, programs, and activity of the ashram. You know, there is a slopy land. We don't have plain land there, so we have to cultivate um, organic products on on these slopy lands. So we have different kinds of activities which are currently being running and which was conducted during the starting time of the ashrams. We have we have naturopathy, and we have massage, and we have a yoga center, we have meditation, like these kinds of activities which is done by the ashrams. And we have retreat camps for the guests also. Recently we have till now we have more than 2 residential houses, 1 meditation hall you can see there in the pictures, and 1 cow shed, 1 kitchens, and 1 guest house for the guest. So so before the establishment of the ashram, people in the society sacrifice a lot of animals as the name of gods. After the presence of Sri Aurobindo Tapubhumi is playing an important role in eliminating superstition and malpractices by giving awareness programs to the people of that society. You know that there is a school which was managed and supported by the ashrams to enhance good education system in the society. After the establishment of ashram, slowly it becomes a touristic and religious place where hundreds of peoples in a day, including local, national, and international peoples, come and enjoy with the environment of ashrams, which helps to all with the environment of ashrams, so that there is a chances which helps to uplift life standard of the society. So ashram is supporting for spiritual awareness for the people, and also conduct yoga and meditation camp in the society to convert people from ignorance to divine spiritual thoughts. As you know that this ashram is non-profit organization that wishes to promote and materialize the ideology of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother in order to uplift life to change its state into condition of divine perfection, knowledge, and bliss in this Himalayan country. Thank you. So we have this is in the first picture you can see this is the stone house which was constructed by ashram at the beginning phase, and there is a in the second picture you can see this is the picture of a temple or meditation halls, and next picture you can see there is a big house which is for the guest and kitchens and for other purposes also. Next slide. So let's video will play and it will describe about the ashram of Gulmi.
So this is the last part of our session, and the last part is question and answer. The last part is question and answer session. So those interested participants, if you have any query and interest about Sri Aurobindo Yoga Mandir, you can ask us some questions. And in question and answer session, Swami Ramchandra Das will join us, and he will also help us to answer your question. It seems like we don't have no more questions. Namaste.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure, please.
So there's how many people live at the ashram normally for staff or people from your organization?
Yes. So all together we have 3 centers, one in Kathmandu, one in Nawalparasi, one in Gulmi. So all together we have more than 200. But the number keeps on changing because the number of kids, sometimes they come, sometimes they go. So the number cannot be fixed. So normally we have more than 200.
And how many are living on the new place on the top of that hill? How many stay there?
In Gulmi?
Yes.
Good. There are around 10 to 15 people because branch is recently started and we have a lot of work to do. So till today we have 10 to 15 people there.
And it seems it's above the clouds sometimes.
Yeah, of course. Many times, we can see the cloud below from that place. It's a very good place for yoga and retreat. So a lot of people who come to visit Kathmandu Ashram, most of them, they go there because they love that place very much. From that top, you can have a very clear view of sky and we can identify different galaxy constellation as well.
And it's very spiritual, I believe, to be above the clouds instead of below the clouds.
And many times in that ashram, a lot of tigers, deers, other wild animals, they come and visit there. So have you been to our ashram ever?
No, I have not. But Mani's nodding yes.
So you should come, no? It's a good place to explore. You can take part in our daily activities, and do yoga, meditation, and visit our other branches. So you are heartily welcome.
Thank you. I can imagine, but I cannot imagine how much work it must have taken for the facility to be constructed.
Yeah.
So much work, right?
Yes. In the beginning, the situation was terrible. The group of boys in our villages, there can be a lot of bad boys. And making a group of boys, they used to come and threaten our Swamiji. Sometimes they used to beat him because he was from the different district. He was from Gulmi, and Kathmandu, it's a different place. And when a new person tries to do something new in another place, the locality do not support. And the most important thing is he was all alone. He do not have his, he was all alone. He had no more support, nothing at all. But still, with his faith in divine and with his courage and heavy struggle, today hundreds and hundreds of people are getting chance to stay in this ashram and they are learning so many things. And since last 2 years, even the internationals people, they come here and live and study. We have 2 more students from India as well. And
Sounds
whatever
beautiful.
yes, and whatever the income generating activities the ashram runs, all the revenue goes for the all the revenue goes to fulfill the basic needs of the kid. Because once the kid is admitted to the ashram won't take any charge. Food, education, everything is free. So by by running organic farm, different Nepal travel and trek, and other income generating activities, that revenue is used to fulfill the basic needs of the child.
I was just seeing this. It was really very beautiful. Really feel like coming there.
Yes,
There
yes.
was no COVID, I think we would have all come there. I wanted to know how many of you students are inspired to write poetry, or you're inspired to become, painting and writing
Yes, yes,
stories.
yes, yes.
How many of you do that?
Yeah, in our ashram we have two small kids who are really inspired. The one of the name is Sandesh Ghimire. He was so much influenced and motivated with poetry that he determined himself to write a Khanda Kavya. Because in our Nepali literature, Mahakavi Lakshmi Prasad Devkota have written a Mahakavya. A small boy of around 15 to 16 years old, and he, yeah, there are two boys, and another is Sri Krishna, and he's very good at anchoring and sharing the information about the ashram. He has a good presenting skills. And in the painting field, we have one Lakshman. So he's a professional artist. He can manifest his thoughts, mental thoughts into art. He can easily manifest that. And beside that, we have one more student, Binay. He currently joined the art and painting class. So we have two more students in painting. And beside that, we have 3, 4 students in classical dance.
Okay.
Yes,
Manipuri dance, is it Manipuri they learn?
Manipuri, no, they do Bharatnatyam and one classical dance from Odisha. And beside that, Swamiji sends many students to India to learn classical dance. We have one student, Tara Prasad, in India, and he is learning dance as well as flute. Yeah, and in ashram also a music class, and we learn how to play harmonium, tabla, like that.
Because your space looks very inspiring for learning arts.
Yes,
for
yes.
an artist to grow.
Yeah. We have gallery where we have displayed a lot of painting done by the student of the ashram. Because it's a 1-hour session and there are a lot of slides, so it was difficult to adjust and present everything. We did it in brief. So if you have time, please come to the ashram. You are heartily welcome, and you will know in detail.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question.
I've said hello to Lakshman several times. I know his painting is on the stage with you by the other photographs.
Yeah.
And I see them. Maybe the camera can show his painting. I see the mountains.
Yes, please, Lakshman.
Yes, those mountains. Now, from your ashram, are those mountains visible?
Yes.
From the ashram?
Yeah. We have one big building in ashram, and when you go to the roof of that building, we can easily view all the mountains. We can see a very good range if the climate is clear.
Do you have photographs that you can easily share here about those
mountains? Yes. I think we have one photograph in our Facebook page. Yeah.
And maybe on your website?
Yeah, I don't know about website, maybe, but in Facebook page, I'm sure.
Excellent.
Yeah, we have pictures.
Now, do the young people get to travel to the ashram and take turns, and they all get to experience being above the clouds sometimes at the ashram?
Yeah. Sometimes the student of the ashram, Guruji send us for hiking. Like, we go to the Chandagiri top, which is approximately 2 to 3 kilometer, no, 2 to 3 hour of walk from the ashram. And we go there, and from that, we view all the mountain ranges and like that. And we go for, like 2 3 night stay. Like we had gone to Nagarkot, all the students of the ashram.
What's it feel like to see those mountains? What does it feel like inside you when you look at those mountains?
Yeah. That's a very nice question. It's about feeling, because the way I feel, you might not feel that way, but I can tell you how I feel. When I see those mountain and beautiful clouds, are true, every being in my body feels calm and silence. Because it's very difficult to describe in word what it feels like to feel ultimate peace, silence, and calm in your body. But it feels like you have reached the ultimate level of happiness, ultimate level of feels. It feels like you don't want anything, just want to sit and watch those mountain and be with them. And sometimes you also feel like that mountain is speaking with you. Obviously the language is not word, there are no words, but still a kind of connection. It is automatically happens. I feel that way.
We can see the mountain now on your shared screen.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Yes.
Do you have earthquakes near the mountains, near the ashram? Are there ever earthquakes?
Yeah, there are not frequent earthquake, but once in a century we have a big earthquake. Like in 2015 we had a big earthquake, and that earthquake did a lot of damage to our ashram also. But it is infrequent, not like in Japan and.
But the buildings need to be constructed carefully to
Yes,
not
yes,
collapse in earthquakes.
yes. Swamiji called one expert engineer. He came, he looked, and according to his instruction, we repaired our building.
Very important.
Yes.
We can see a cloud also now
Yes,
on
yes.
the
Yeah,
photograph with the mountain.
yeah, in front
One
of
cloud.
Yes, yes.
Is that the photograph? Is that the view from the hilltop with the
Yes,
ashram,
yes,
or is
yes.
that? Wow.
Yes, it is from the rooftop of the ashram. We have one the
Mhm.
tallest building, and from that rooftop, we took this picture so that you could easily see the, city life, the houses,
Yes.
mountains, and Himalaya.
And there's a chairlift, I guess, some type of gondola,
It's cable car.
cable car. Yes.
Yeah. To reach the top of Sandagiri Hill. The student from the ashram, we go to that top 2 times a year, especially in winter season. We don't go by cable car, but we go by walking as a hiking.
Hmm. Very good.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Ayush, you want to ask something?
Yes, I want to ask something.
Yes.
I like the vision of this ashram.
Yes.
So, can we visit the ashram and take part in the different activities happening there, like meditation, yoga, painting, dance, and other activities?
Of course, you can do that. But the current situation is not quite favorable because of COVID-19. We do not allow outsider recently. But when this, pandemic is over, you can come and join in our activities. You can do karma yoga, meditation. You can do everything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I'll surely visit once.
Okay. Sure. Why not, Ayush? You are most welcome.
I have a question about language.
Okay. Which language?
what's your mother tongue in Nepal?
Nepali.
Nepali. I
Yes.
would guess Nepali. And for English, I'm so impressed that everyone is so good with English.
Yes.
How do Nepal people learn English? When did they start?
Yes.
How much time?
Yes. Talking about school in ashram, we have a school, and in that school we have a English medium. We have only one subject Nepali, and rest of the subject the students study in English. We said that a lot of foreigners from America, Canada, Germany, Italy, they come to the ashram so that the ashram people get chance to practice their English with them.
Did you say that?
Yes.
Yes, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's not only about English. Some students are also learning French because a lot of French people come to the ashram, and when they have time, they study and learn French language as well.
At what age do the young people start learning English?
In Nepal,
Yes.
they start as soon as they join the school, because most of the school in Nepal, they have English medium except government school. In government school, they teach the student in Nepali language. They have only one subject, English. But in private school, they have only one Nepali book, and rest of the subject is in English. So as soon as the kids starts to go to school, they starts learning English. If the kid is admitted to government school, his English is quite poor. If the kid is admitted to private school, he is little bit weak in Nepali, but his English is okay, quite satisfactory.
I am aware that. Let me ask you a question. In the history, Britain, England, United Kingdom, it was very powerful in India. India was a colony of
Yes.
Britain. Was that